This sporting great won a nation's admiration for a sport no one cared about. In 1988, he swapped the dole cue for the Olympic Games and his team won gold. He is Sean Kerly. Sean, hockey to many, certainly youngsters at secondary school level, it's a bit of a girls' game. Was there a stigma attached to playing hockey?
Well, not where I came from, but I can understand. I can understand it really because you know even I saw all the films of St Trinians and their hockey sticks running around and doing all their things. But I went to a school that didn't play soccer. We played rugby in the first term, hockey in the second term, and then cricket in the summer. And it was something that all the boys did. I mean, it was a boys' grammar school in Ramsgate, and it was just what we all did. The rugby players all played hockey, and we all played cricket, so they were all considered the same.
And when did you realise you had an inclination towards holding this stick and whacking this ball?
I'd been brought up on soccer, and it's a very similar game to soccer. I was too small for rugby. I was a very small sort of 12, 13-year-old, and I used to get sat on quite a lot. And I remember I used to run really, really low, and end up knocking my head on people's knees. And every other game I'd be out for stars in my eyes and absolutely headaches the next day. But it was just a game that didn't agree with me, whereas hockey was something that I really enjoyed. And we had a fantastic teacher at school, a little guy called Tommy Thomas.
It's important, isn't it? Someone who actually gives you that appetite, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think it's probably the most important thing, the enthusiasm of the coach. And I think through him and my father, who was a fantastically keen sportsman, and between them, they pushed me along.
But I'll tell you this, whatever stigma there may have been associated with certain teenagers, I'm sure those sticks hurt when they connected.
Yeah, they do, but you learn very quickly. You know, the worst thing about hockey is it's a one-sided game, so you can only play with a right-handed grip, left hand at the top, so you can only play one way round. And if you go into somebody the wrong way, you know, the stick comes up and it hits you on the head, and it hurts quite a lot. And occasionally, yeah, when you're standing on the line and somebody hits the ball from 12 yards away, you know, as hard as they can, you can go 70, 80 miles an hour. You learn to watch the ball. It's a bit like the cricketers, you always watch the ball, and the kids that don't are the ones that get hit.
Once you have that eye, bat, ball coordination, I mean, did you try that out with other sports? I mean, did you have a go at cricket? Did you ever try the Irish version, hurley?
I did. I've hit a hurley, a hurl they call it, don't they? But I think that's a much more dangerous game because they're actually hitting the ball up here, and whereas in hockey, certainly when I was learning and with the youngsters, you make sure they keep the ball down. So
what set you aside in hockey then, and when did you realise that up front was the position for you?
Well, I played midfield. During my school years, I was a midfielder, sort of left or right midfield. I was quite fit, very tenacious, not very popular, particularly with my mates in the playground, because you know I wouldn't give up. I hated to lose. I mean, it was quite difficult for people to relate around me because I was so competitive. But I think my Great Britain hockey coach was the first one to put me at centre forward, Roger Self. And
it came easy, did it? Knocking the ball in the back of the net?
Well, I didn't really have much fear, and I think that's one thing in the game that for strikers is you've got to be a total optimist all the time. Much of the running that you do is off the ball. One run out of 5 or 6, you get the ball. So you're doing a lot of work for a very little result, and you don't get many chances. And I think the most important thing about that is, you know, you just have a go at it. And that was really my philosophy. If it's there, you just hit it.
There's Clark, there's Kerly, there's Giles. Clark, that's Kerly, still Kerly, played on the ground surely. Advantage played, and the goal counts.
What's it like being a full-time hockey player? I mean, obviously footballers are signed on apprenticeships, athletes can go to university and college and play all the time and whatever it is. But if hockey is your thing, what sort of life is that? How do you determine that, you know, I want to do this at the top level?
A lot of it happens when you're young. Now is very different. But when I was at school, I was in the school team and playing, scoring goals. My school master took me along to county trials, and I was involved in the Kent county team, at sort of under 16s at 13 or something, and I was identified as somebody who had a lot of potential in the sport. And once you're involved in a slightly higher level than others, you tend to get more coaching, so you move on quicker. And a lot of it's down to, or was in my day, was down to, if you go to a school with a guy who teaches you, who's involved in the county setup, he can take his boys along, get them selected for the team, and then it's going to divisional trials. If you're picked for the divisional team, you're then seen by England selectors, and you go to another weekend. And so once you're involved, you're seen all the time.
But this wasn't going to earn you a living. So, I mean, you had to think about what your job was going to be.
Well, I don't think. I think as a child, I mean, or as an adult, really. That's one thing that's always flummoxed me. I've always, certainly whilst I was playing at international hockey, my work really was there to facilitate playing hockey. That was the most important thing. Obviously, paying the bills, and latterly, when I got married to Jackie, and then we had a family, there was a mortgage to pay and things like that. So. I had to earn money, but the job was really secondary to actually playing club hockey for a top club in London called Southgate, and then playing my international hockey.
Is that the way the bosses viewed it? Did you let on to them that the job was secondary, or did they spot that more often than not?
Well, I think I was very lucky with the people. I left school at 18 and went up to Crawley. Had an interview with the chief accountant of Salisbury's Handbags, who was an ex-Rhodesian rugby player.
Right.
And I was quite honest about it. I said, look, this is the situation. I'm going to need some time off to play hockey, but I also want to pursue a career as well. And I'm quite good at maths, and we got involved. He said, I'll take you on. You can have the time off, on the understanding that you do work, a bit harder when you're here. So you do the hours, and that was great. And it meant that I could carry on playing my hockey, and also, earn a living and build a career.
Mm. Now, it built and built and built. It came to the good times, and I suppose when the public really got hockey into its psyche, and that must have been the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles.
Kerly now beats his man, has the chance. Yes, what a goal! Kerly's there in the middle. There's the ball through. Yes!
It was 7 goals for you, 3rd place, bronze medal. What do you remember of the games?
We'd finished our domestic season. The games were in the summer of '84. The domestic season finished at Easter, and there wasn't a lot going on. And about 9 weeks out, the Russians pulled out, and they were going, and we were sort of down as first reserves to go, Great Britain. And I had a phone call from the manager, Roger Self. He said, look, get yourself up to Lilleshall next weekend. We're having a training weekend. Great Britain are sending a team to the Olympics. And that was the first that we knew. And it was a bit of a shock, very exciting. I'd played a couple of times for Great Britain before, but wasn't a regular member of the team. And we went up and we went through our paces. I think 24 guys were invited up. The team of 16 was chosen 3 weeks later. And then we went to one of the first things I remember is getting measured up for my blazer.
Yeah.
And we went to the Savoy, where the army had been asked to help all the quartermasters set out all the uniforms, and we went down as a team and collected our uniforms. And I'd never seen so much kit in my whole life. And we wandered around in a pair of training shoes, blazer, tracksuit, wetsuit, 3 T-shirts, shorts. It was like Christmas for me, because we'd never heard of free kit before. It was fantastic to be involved. Yeah. I think the build-up was very exciting. The next thing I remember is arriving at the airport, dressed in our blazers, as a team, and the British Olympic Association hired a jumbo to take the team out to Los Angeles, and we arrived in at the airport, checked our baggage in, and I remember looking over there, nudging Steve Batchelor, my best mate really, said, "Look, there's Seb Coe over there." And Seb Coe was somebody I'd sort of sporting icon of mine really, an Olympian, a gold medalist at the time.
And did you ever see the Seb Coes again? I mean, there you were the Cinderella outfit, but you had gone to the ball.
Yeah.
Did you guys mix, all the different disciplines mix, or were you all separated and segregated?
No, the team was all in one. We were billeted in UCLA, which is the university campus,
Yeah.
and Australia was there, Canada was there. You know, there were something like 6,000 athletes, all in competing at the games, and we were billeted amongst the swimmers and the cyclists, and you know, the athletes don't normally arrive until a little bit later, and it was a fantastic atmosphere. But you know, also we tried to remember we had a job to do, which was very difficult.
Tension here. Dodds to Bora. Was marked. Flipped back by Batchelor. Saved by Snowden, but it's gone in. Great Britain have taken the lead. Australia with the last desperate flourish through Charlesworth, their captain. 4, 3, it could be enough. It's stopped by Kerly. The final hoot has gone, and Great Britain have done it. They've got the medal, the bronze medal.
The bronze medals, the team from Great Britain.
What about a job to go home to? Because next up after Los Angeles was the Seoul Olympics in 1988, and these were to turn out to be the games, of course. You know, I mean, that you were going the whole way there, and that was going to be Olympic gold. But you had a problem because, again, work had got in the way.
Yeah, I mean, the company I was working for, Christmas before the Olympics, so we're talking at Christmas '87, had been bought by a large retailer and run down, and they'd amalgamated all the stores, and I ended up being taken up to Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a 2-hour drive away from home, and I was working up there as a trainee buyer really for a menswear retailer, and we were seeded 2 for the '88 Olympics. We went out to a tournament. I think Great Britain went out to a tournament at Easter, top 6 in the world, Champions Trophy they call it, and I couldn't go because I was working, and it was an important part of my career. And Great Britain came last, and I remember when they came back, the manager rang me up and said, "Look, Sean, what's the story? Are you going to be part of this or not?" So I went along to see the boss.
This was your boss at work?
This is my boss at work, and in Leicester, and said, "Look, I need to take 4 months off." And I told him why. We were seeded 2nd. My wife Jackie, and we had a young daughter at the time, Laura, who was born in January, so there was all sorts of stuff going on at home. And I'd asked him for 4 months off, and he said, "Nope." He said, "If I remember his words. He said because he was an amateur soccer player. He was quite a good soccer player. Mm-hmm. He told me himself, and he said that if I gave up my sport for my career, and look what we've achieved now, and it was a big business, and he said, I'm now giving you an opportunity, and if I'd have been given the same opportunity that I'm giving you, I would think very seriously about what you want to do."
You did think seriously?
I did think seriously, and I rang him up the next day and said, "Look, Jackie and I had talked it through and decided that I didn't want to come back from the Olympic Games wondering if only I'd given up. Could we have done any better? I mean, wouldn't have mattered if we'd have lost. I think the important thing is that I'd given it my best shot." And so he said to me, "Okay." And 3 days later, I got the 5 o'clock phone call from the personnel manager, and I was marched out of the building.
See, maybe that was, when you look at it, maybe that was a man bitter that he had to give up his sporting career because of work. When you came back with that gold, did you give him a ring?
No, in fact, no. Well, I haven't actually spoken to him since.
Yeah.
and he's a very successful businessman actually. But I mean, I can understand, fully understand, because I mean I've worked all my life and balanced hockey, my sport and family and work, and I know how difficult it is when you're with a team of people if they can't pull their weight. So I can fully understand not being able to do that.
But it's amazing, Jackie, your wife, being able to understand as well, because you basically headed off to Seoul, and you had no income, you had no job to go back to, as you say, the start of a young family, whatever. As a sportsman, are you able to block all that out of your mind and get on with the job in hand, or do you tend to be so selfish as a sportsman, so sort of self-centered, self-dedicated, that doesn't apply? The only important thing is you.
I didn't think I was being particularly selfish, but I think in hindsight, if you look at it, you know, there was only one thing that I wanted to do, and I would have probably done it anyway, and thankfully I had a lot of support at home and it was okay, but I don't know what would have happened if I'd have been challenged on it. If Jackie had said to me, look Sean, look, we can't afford to do this, because you're right, I had no thought about time after the Olympics at all.
Kerly in the return pass from Milan. Kerly into the circle, shoots, it's in! That's a classic goal by Sean Kerly. Can he create here? He takes it to the circle. It's in! The goal is given.
Barber switched. Oh, and it's in! Sean Kerly scores Britain's second. The gold medal winners of the 1988 Olympic Games.
When you come back with that gold medal from Seoul, you had no job to go back to.
No.
But did your life change? I mean, a gold medal in your life, being an Olympian, was there a big difference?
I remember the headlines, and we arrived at Heathrow, and we were taken in champagne reception, breakfast television live, all sorts of stuff. And Jackie couldn't get home on the same flight as I, or with the team. She was stuck out there for I think 3 more days before she could get home. And I went home, and the phone was ringing constantly, yeah. and I rang my dad up and said, "Come and get me, Dad. I can't." So I went and hid with him for 2 days in East Grinstead somewhere, and just ignored it. And I could not believe the stuff in the papers. Sean Kerly, the first £1 million hockey man. You know, all the rubbish that I think happens at these times. And I was involved with TV shows here, there, phone call. You know, I then started doing some work, things like introducing air miles, and I read 2 sides of A4 to launch this thing for many thousands of pounds. I mean, you know, it was just another world. It was unbelievable. But as you probably know very well, and many people who were in have their 15 minutes of fame, which that was mine, it gradually tails off, and I ended up doing, you know, all the things that I wondered why they did them.
But you were on that circuit. I mean,
yeah,
could you have stayed on that circuit? I mean, could you actually? I mean, we actually think, well, this is for me. This is okay.
I wasn't comfortable at all.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I always felt a bit of a fraud.
Why?
I don't know, but and I still do sometimes.
But it's part of that, because unlike athletes or individuals, you're a team player. You were part of a team. You were the goal scorer, yes, but was part of it because there were all those other guys on the pitch, and you were the one getting the attention.
I had a very small part in the whole picture. I was just a cog in the machine, and I couldn't have done it without them. And I think that was probably the basis of my uneasiness. And yeah, these guys had very sensibly, you know, gone back to their lives, and I was.
But maybe they hadn't, you know, it wasn't going to be any other way for them, because I mean, as I say, you were the one the cameras were trained on. You were the one who was putting the ball in the back of the net. So maybe theirs was an easier decision, because they hadn't got a choice. They had to go back to their lives.
Yeah, and it probably would have been in hindsight, I would have made sure that I had something to come back to, and I think that was a great mistake on my part, and maybe really with the administration as well. You know, you're rather abandoned. Nobody really can prepare you. You know, they can prepare you to actually play sport, but they can't prepare you for all the stuff afterwards.
But many sports people, of course, strive for the celebrity status. I mean, you know, success means celebrityhood. You're actually saying then that no, you enjoyed your sport, but you did not enjoy the attention that came with it.
I don't mind. I mean, the way I looked at it, I was representing the team. And
did the team see it that way?
I don't know. And well, there were odd occasions. I mean, some of the guys that I played within the team, we weren't necessarily best mates. We came from other clubs. I mean, there were guys from our great rivals. You know, we were on the pitch when Southgate played Hounslow, who were the top two teams at the time. There was no love lost between either of us. When we were thrown together in a team, Great Britain team, you know, we got on well. We got on together. We performed well as a team together, but we didn't really mix together. But it was a good unit, and I still to this day don't really know if they feel that I did a good job for hockey and for them. I mean, I see them occasionally now, and we have a good laugh about the old days. But you know, I wonder if I did the right thing.
Between '88 and the Olympics in Seoul and the '92 Olympics in Barcelona, did you stay on that celebrity circuit, or did you go back to full-time employment?
Well, I went back to work, or in fact, I tried to get back to work, and I found it very difficult because of the circuit that I became involved with. Serious commercial men would look at me and think, well, you know, what do you know about anything? You're just a hockey player, and you're not a businessman. And I would find that the dinner circuit, you go along and, you know, they have you on a table, almost like a prize bull, really. They'd like you to be there and go away the next day and say that they were with you, but they don't really want to talk about business, or they want to talk about you. And I found that it was hard to get back to work, and after a year, you know, it was hard work. I was rushing around trying to pay the mortgage, and then the tax, obviously the other aspects of earning a lot of money in a short period of time hit you, and I eventually got a job with a company that installed synthetic pitches, marketing for them, and I got myself back in the real world, as I think it is, and I've sort of progressed from there.
Then there was Barcelona in '92. I mean, you were the defending Olympic champions. You had that gold medal. Why do you think you couldn't successfully defend it in Barcelona?
Well, I think a lot of it was we had lost our goalkeeper, our fullback, in fact two of our fullbacks, our centre half, and a key midfield player.
That's how it stands after just 10 minutes. Good tackle by Kerly, gets his stick back in position. Kerly into the circle, tries the shot, cleared by York.
Basically, the heart was ripped out of our team, and we didn't really have a lot behind us. The analogy is, I think it's a bit like soccer. You know, we won the '66 World Cup, but after that, we didn't really do anything else. And we probably won the '66 World Cup because a good group were together, that achieved together. And it wasn't a planned thing. There was no structure behind it. In the same way, there wasn't much structure behind our hockey success. And once that team had broken up, you know, there was nothing behind it to fill the void. So we had some good players, and in fact, you know, we could have gotten the top four, but you know, we just didn't have the determination or the knowledge or the team will to win to actually achieve that.
In 172 appearances for Great Britain and England, 20 indoor games, you've scored over 100 goals, right? You've put so many goals away at whatever level. Do you ever have any sympathy for, or could you ever have been, a goalkeeper?
No, I got no sympathy. We used to do a lot of training in the mornings at training weekends. We'd go away to a venue like Bisham Abbey or Lilleshall, and Roger Self would get us up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we'd go for a run, and then we'd go and hit some balls. And he'd get the goalkeepers with their kit on, and they wear quite a lot of padding.
Yeah.
But you can still part of
You
the
still
fun.
cause damage.
Part of the fun of it really is you know, being mischievous is
Terrible.
picking them out, and they take a lot of punishment.
Hold it well, pushing through for Thompson.
I mean, the good ones don't, but some of them aren't quite so good. And the best shot you can get on a keeper is you can get him right in his face helmet and rattle his cage for him.
And I can just stay there. I can just rattle his cage,
Rattle his
but without
cage.
doing any harm.
No, it's all right.
We point out.
They're
It's all
well
good fun.
protected.
Yeah, goodness me. So no desire to.
No,
be
not
between
at
the
all.
sticks.
No.
Yeah. How long can old hockey players go on for?
Well, that's another area. I mean, I'm currently playing at Canterbury, and we're top of the Premier Division. So we're actually the top club in the country by 2 points at this moment. And
So that's you being competitive again.
yeah, I know. Well, I packed up for 3 years, but moved down to Kent College, where I'm currently working as a marketing manager in Canterbury, and there was a lot of pressure for me to go and get involved, and I went down to a training session, and gradually, you know, I got back into it and started playing again, and it was a fantastic compliment to me at 39 that 21-year-old boys who are very fit want me to be in their team, and it's a great, you know, I love it. It keeps me young. Unfortunately, my body inside is telling me that I shouldn't be doing it because it hurts like hell. And but how long can they go on? I mean, I doubt whether I'll play much more. The rules are okay now. The rules allow rolling substitution, so it's a bit like basketball. You can roll on and off. So when I get tired, I can put my hand up and come off and have a rest.
Talking about people who may or may not want you in their team, when you were a young lad, you were telling me that a Manchester United scout knocked at the door. Do you ever look back with any regrets and say, I wish I had have gone there?
Well, it's interesting. Basically, my mother, we were moving from Manchester down to Ramsgate, down to Herne Bay in Kent, so it's like 5-hour drive. And my mum told me this story when I was about 15, so it was 4 years after we'd moved. She'd not told me that at the time, because she knew that I would have gone straight back on the train, straight back out to Manchester and reported for duty. Because, I mean, I was brought up on soccer. I lived in Macclesfield. You know, I loved it. I used to go and watch, you know, Dennis Law and Brian Kidd, Bobby Charlton play at Old Trafford once every 3 weeks, and I mean, I was devoted to the club, and it would have been my dream. But I can't say now that I regret it. No.
What if, eh?
Well, that's my other what if, isn't it?
Yeah, what if, yeah. But you could have stayed with that retailer and sold handbags or whatever else you were doing as well. But whatever, it wouldn't have turned out, neither of them, I'm sure, would have turned out as successful as it has done for you, Sean Kerly. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.